It is X-Men Astrology. I have wanted to do this for years. And I like flirted with doing it with a guest, but I'm kind of like, let me just talk. This is an episode for gay people because X-Men are for gay people. Welcome back to the world where angels fly, to the skies high above, to the realm of David Odyssey. Now more than ever, in times of upheaval, strife, and war, I am here to deliver the episode that is so critical to our times, that provides all the answers for where we are going and what to do next, and what astrology has to tell us about the future of mankind. It is X-Men Astrology. I have wanted to do this for years. And I like flirted with doing it with a guest, but I'm kind of like, let me just talk. This is an episode for gay people because X-Men are for gay people. So let me just tell you who the X-Men are, and then that'll give you some basis. The X-Men is a comic book world about mutants, who are these people born into any sort of class, race, place on Earth with mutant powers, which either make them look different or afford them special abilities, which have alienated them from society. And they form different factions and kind of schools of thought or politics, which often either coalesce or clash around what it is to be an outsider, what it is to be a part of but apart from society, to build one's own society. Should it be through aggression and violence? Is peace an option? And within the world of the X-Men, I mean, there's plenty of queerness there, but within the world of the X-Men, we have a lot of these. X-Men is basically literature. It's not like Spider-Man. You have these very rich, melodramatic romances and kind of character journeys, and these people who have these gifts who kind of come into themselves and go on these long sort of self-discoveries, and it involves a lot of like reflection and introspection. The X-Men characters, and especially the X-Women, are constantly going through these intense makeovers. I mean, if you look at Storm specifically, where they go on these sort of Madonna-like journeys where they're like, I was this person, I can be her no more. This is my new code name. This is my new costume. This is my new identity. A lot of the characters will often lose their powers and need to go on some sort of a spiritual walkabout. Again, we're talking about Storm in the 80s. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Also, this happens with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel in the 80s, in the late 70s. So there's a lot of, this is who I was. I am this person no more. Now I'm seeking out who I am. Which to me, you can say there's plenty that's queer about X-Men, but I think that aspect of like, it isn't enough to just come out as a mutant. Most of the characters end up coming out as bisexual, or at least they're written that way. But there is this sense of constant seeking and searching and kind of like trying to find who one is spiritually. And there's a lot of transgression, and now they've gone too far. Now they're turning over. Anyone who likes the X-Men knows that it's all about the women. There are some great, very faggy characters. I hope we can cover them. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about the women. What I'm going to be doing is demonstrating these women and these X-Men characters as archetypal explorations of how the signs operate. These are always fun because I think they give us a way to get to know these archetypes and how they apply, how the signs apply, what they kind of mean, how they kind of play out. So even if you're not like the most familiar with X-Men, or if you're not the most familiar with astrology, the point is to kind of just like play around and see what these characters represent or how they act, and then what that means in terms of the sort of emotional, spiritual journey of the horoscope. So by the way, if you disagree with any of this, I'd love to know. We will read it out, unless, that's only with your consent. But please hit us up at ask@heavenlybodiespodcast.com if I am completely off on my reading. So we are going to beginning with whom else? One of the ultimate frenemy rivalry, bestiana showdowns of all time. Who else could it be but Jean Grey and Emma Frost? Jean Grey and Emma Frost are two, especially if you read the Grant Morrison run of X-Men, and now we're really going in. They really are like the two women who are running the school. And Jean is obviously the Phoenix. She is this like unstoppable, powerful force. Emma is the White Queen. She is this sort of like stone cold glamour girl bitch. Jean is often thought of as like the good girl, and Emma is thought of as the like ice princess. But we often see that there's like a lot of hypocrisy in the way that they're judged. I have been thinking, I've always read Jean as an Aquarius. Jean, anytime Jean is written as like a wife or mother, it doesn't quite work. Jean really is very big picture, and I mean, she becomes literally a cosmic entity who like sees the earth from a cosmic view. She is so much about the ideology of what Xavierism and what Krakoa and what the mutants are about, but interpersonally, I think she really struggles. Aquarians, I don't mean to say that Aquarians are all these like dissociated robots. It's not quite that. I just think that like Jean does really well as a headmaster because Aquarians are really good at like, okay, get me in there. I want to see how the whole thing works. Then I'm going to come up with these sort of like creative solutions. And I don't know that as a teacher, she's going to be able to really connect person to person. And she is so much about the bigger saga that when you try to put her in these sort of like warm maternal roles, it doesn't quite click because Aquarius is an air sign. That, again, we're talking metaphorically. If you are one of these signs, I'm not saying that you're bound to some dark cliche. I don't want you to be like, well, does that mean that I'm not warm? No, it's not that. It's just saying these are some things she's exemplifying. The opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo. So Aquarius is so much about like the whole system. Where's everything going? What does it mean? What are these ideals? And the opposite sign is Leo, which is the sign of leadership, embodiment. It's way more myopic. You are the thing. You don't need to be talking or thinking about the thing. That to me is a lot more Emma. Emma really leads by example. And Emma is actually the thing with Leos have these very big kind of public personas, but they're extremely private in real life and extremely loyal. And once you're in the inner circle, they really do care. And we see that with Emma. Like Emma is a little bit more bombastic and even destructive, but we understand like, I mean, there's a Lydia Tarr aspect to her where it's like, if she's your teacher, she probably will traumatize you, but you know that she actually really did like sit down with you and look you in the eyes. I don't know that Jean is capable of that. Emma, it's like, we know that Emma's students are all very dear to her and they all were very much impacted by her. Emma is also kind of like, I am going to represent mutant kind at its best, which is another Leo thing. Leo is the sign of regality. Leo is the king sign. So there's something with that where Emma's like, I'm going to just show up. Like, I'm going to fucking turn it. We see for that reason that they're kind of always going to clash. But obviously, like, Emma is kind of a more consistent partner in some ways than Jean is. I have to say that. Okay. We then obviously, we're just going to move straight on to Mystique and Destiny. Like, all right, so we have Mystique, who is the shapeshifter extraordinaire, and Destiny, her lesbian lover, who is a blind seer who can see the future. And they are a lesbian mutant terrorist couple. You gotta love the X-Men. There's nothing better than this. Look, Mystique is a shapeshifter, and obviously one would want to go for Scorpio because Scorpio is the sign of metamorphosis and transformation and, changing shape. I am going to link these two on the Scorpio Taurus axis. Taurus and Scorpio are opposite signs. They hit 6 months apart from each other. They're kind of two sides of a coin. Taurus is very much, I'm in the body, I'm in my body, I'm in control. I'm all there is. It's a bit more like you are the thing. Again, then we go to Scorpio, which is, Scorpio is saying like, okay, well now there's other people involved. Do I share this power with them? Do I manipulate them? Do I control them? Are they controlling me? So Mystique, I hate to say this, but Taurus does have a borderline aspect to it because we Taurians are often, it's very hard for us to not see beyond ourselves. Like we're just so stuck in ourselves and in our own sense of the world as us. And Mystique really has that. Like Mystique really, I mean, this is why she's such a shit mother to Rogue and to Nightcrawler, because she just can't get out of her own worldview. And it doesn't make sense to her that anyone would want to be any different from her. But meanwhile, there's this deep insecurity because this is a person who often changes into other people for like months at a time. That's very like, that's just very borderline. But also in terms of Taurus, there is this thing which is like, I'm so stuck in myself that I want to get away from myself, And then her lover, who I think is the perfect opposite, is Destiny. Destiny really has no problem, Destiny really like can't really connect with anyone besides Mystique. They obviously love their adopted daughter Rogue, but her whole thing is like everyone is just a chess piece. Like that's how I see everyone. And I don't need anyone. So the two of them are obviously perfect for each other in that regard because Mystique is so insecure that she needs Destiny to manipulate her. But I just thought like in terms of dark Taurus and dark Scorpio, it's very there and it's kind of fabulous. I gotta say, I was thinking about Cancer, which is the sign of the mother, the sign of the tribe, the sign of gestation and kind of passing on DNA or history or lineage. Cancer, which is so much about the shell and that which we carry with us. Cancer, which is so much about love and giving and wanting to provide, but almost it always kind of comes with such a, like they say on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, after everything I did for you that you didn't ask for. This led me to Storm and Magneto. Storm is so much, oh God, I mean, talk about one of the greatest characters of literature. It's really like Jane Eyre and Storm. And if you read like I'd say the Chris Claremont Storm up, and then you can skip about a few decades and then jump straight into the Ewing Storm and you're good. Storm is so much the big sister and the mother of the X-Men. She is so much about, she calls Colossus and Nightcrawler little brother, and Kitty, she says, daughter who is not my daughter. Like she is so much about, I have to take care of everyone, which is very Cancerian. Cancerians are always down to make you a sandwich no matter what. And in that classic mode, whenever Kitty needs to get away from Storm and whenever Kitty kind of goes her own way, this happens in the recent Marauders run where Storm is like, I gotta let her go. She's not mine, And Storm has a lot of these in the Claremont run with Kitty where she's like, I'm really attached to her and she's kind of making these new connections and she has this new roommate, Ileana. And there is just this thing with her of like, I gotta let her go. And it's really hard because I think Cancers want to make you the sandwich and they're hurt when you don't come over to eat it. I also thought that Magneto was a pretty good Cancer. Cancer men have a very strong armor. And they're down to be like the warrior, but they're extremely sensitive and they can really feel. I hate when people say cancers are sensitive because it's like, what do you do with that? What I mean is that there is a sense of like, well, you didn't understand me, so I don't know why I did this. And like, who do I even do this for? And what was the point of all that? And like, Magneto so cares for every single mutant child, but he can't properly like express that love unless it's through aggression. Like he can't really lower his armor and he has so much love to give, but it gets kind of warped into this sort of, well, we have to attack. It's all, Cancer, there's so much defensiveness. If you think about the shell. And yeah, like Storm and Magneto have this really amazing bond. Let's talk about two more girlies. I would say we got to bring in my favorite X-Man, Miss Danny Moonstar. I'm going to say she's an Aries. Danny Moonstar is, her first speech to Professor X, she's Native American, and when she's brought to the Xavier School and has to put on her X-Men training suit, she says, like, listen, I'm a proud Native American. I'm going to wear the boots and the jewelry and the fringe that I want to fucking wear. And she says, I'm here to, like, be a part of this and to change the world, but I'm an individual and you're not going to, like, put me in some place. Danny, Aries is so much, I gotta go it alone. I gotta do it my way. And Aries is so much like the warrior woman, the fighter, the kind of hard ass bitch. And Danny Moonstar just has that. She has this sort of Sarah Connor quality to her. Like she really is the fighter and the hunter of the X-Men. And I think she's been disrespected. Like besides the Vita Ayala run, she's really been disrespected since the Zeb Wells run. Because she often gets sidelined, but she really is like, I'm the one. I'm going to be the leader. Like, enough. Like, let's make shit happen. And, with the Demon Bear saga, it's her inability to ask for help. That's very Aries. I have to go my own way. I have to deal with this myself. And her friends say, like, we want to help you. The next Aries that I think we should talk about is Rogue. Rogue, obviously that's her name. Again, hyper independent, goes her own way. I don't need anyone. I'm alone. No one. Rogue's whole thing is that she can't be touched. But with Rogue, I think we see a lot of the insecurity of Aries, which is kind of like, I'm actually waiting to be accepted. And I'm waiting for someone to like give me a chance. And all of this bravado is actually not the truth. And actually, if you really gave me a chance, I could be such an asset and like really take charge and help everyone in such a big way. But it takes so long because she doesn't know how to ask for help. And it's only until Professor X and then Storm are like, we got to give this girl a chance. And Wolverine is like, look, she took a bullet for me, enough. Rogue. Also, we see like Rogue does really well in a partnership with Gambit because Rogue is like, no, actually, I'm ready to be supported. Like, I'm ready to be touched. I'm ready to be supported. Rogues, again, this is a waste that they never did these in those fucking kind of nothing Captain Marvel movies. But Rogue has a huge dark sapphic saga with Carol Danvers, aka Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. They're very much Captain Marvel. Rogue steals her powers. Captain Marvel goes her own way. Miss Marvel or Carol Danvers, her whole thing is, I tried to be a good superhero and I got fucked over, and now you guys don't even, like, you guys don't give a shit about me. she gets betrayed a lot. She feels betrayed by the Avengers. She feels betrayed by the X-Men. She has the whole dark thing with Immortus happen we don't need to get into. This is meant to be like an amuse-bouche. The way to think about this is like, when you're in a world like this and you're getting to know these characters, I think it's really fun to just play with like, what is it about this character and what do they speak to? And astrology is not meant to like label or binarize anyone, but it does help you to kind of like, oh, this character embodies these sort of themes, or they play with these sort of things. I would love to hear your takes on these. I would also love to see your costumes of these, and to just hear about like your favorite moments with these girls. I love the X-Men. I want to write the X-Men. So do with that what you will. Okay. This week, we need to celebrate our high priestess of the week. We are celebrating the legendary Aries who was born this week, Selena Quintanilla, who is an eternal chosen one, star, sex symbol, but I think there is a queerness. She is obviously beloved by so many queer people because I think that the way she wore her sexuality and the way that she wore her joy, and the way that she kind of like very purely sang, is very true to us. We can be so wild and libertinous and wear whatever we want to wear, but a lot of us have these very big, sensitive, open hearts, and I think she spoke to that frisson. Selena is a great Aries. She really brought Chicana culture to the United States, and Aries often have to be the face. I've talked about this before, but if you look at Sarah Jessica Parker is going to be the face of Sex and the City. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be the face of Marvel. Nancy Pelosi is going to be the face of the House of Representatives, whether we like it or not. Anyways, Selena, Aries isn't just the warrior. It's saying like, no, I'm going to represent this thing and I can go the distance. Like, I'm going to do this my whole life. Like, I'll do this however long I have to do it. And I think with her, it's crazy for someone so young to be able to take on that responsibility. But with Selena, we really get that. We get someone who says like, I'm going to do this. Like, I get what this means. And with Aries, there is this sort of like, yeah, we lost Selena so young, but I think like the imagery lives forever. And again, if you look at like Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy, it's like, yeah, you can't, Joan Crawford, Bette Davis, like they are going to do something for the first time and no one's ever going to like replace it because they broke the mold. So that's Selena. We're going to celebrate her on this pod. Trust me, this episode could have gone for 3 hours. Like I could really do a girl to girl to girl bio of each X-Man. This was really me just kind of like having fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear. ask@heavenlybodiespodcast.com. Please share this podcast all over X Twitter and wherever other queer X goons abide. And be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and review. We are back every Wednesday with all sorts of shenanigans, cultural, political, cosmic, spiritual, and what have you. So if this was your first time here, I hope you really enjoyed. I have been David Odyssey. You can find me and book a reading at davidodyssey.com. And I'm on Substack as well. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Mwah. Thank you for listening. This podcast is part of Pride House Media, hosted by David Odyssey, and produced by Matthew Breen and Josh Rosenzweig, with original music composed by Nell Balaban. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a rating and review. It really helps others discover the show. I'd love to get to know you, so email questions and visions to ask@heavenlybodiespodcast.com and book a reading with me at davidodyssey.com. Until our next trip, keep looking up.